Hello everybody, it's Mike Levin on Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. And this is a video I didn't think I was going to do. I was just going to switch over from one Python scheduler to another, dealing with the changing API language that this entails when you do a import scheduler versus an import Huey. The language, the API language, actually changes. In this case, from the very Pythonic for humans API of pip install schedule to the much less Pythonic Crontab method of Huey. A scheduler, which is also really a data pipeline, task queue system, like the much more popular Python Celery package, but with much lower or fewer dependencies, so you can actually run it without all that DevOps stuff, tech liability, having to install databases and message queues and all that. So anyway, over my last few videos, I went from pip install schedule, which is from PyPy, that has this beautifully designed API that looks like this: schedule every 10 seconds, every 10 minutes, every hour, every day at 10:30. Every 5 to 10 minutes, every Monday, every Wednesday, every minute at 17 seconds. It has this beautiful API, very English language, object-oriented, but in the best way of object-oriented, even though I put down object-oriented a lot for packages, for pip installable packages. When they develop it object-oriented, they're usually doing us a wonderful favor. So there's an alternative API with pip install schedule, which is using decorators. And you can always know a decorator by that little @ sign that is used, right before a Python function that has the def keyword there, define. So you see that up there means it's a decorator. The def job, the job function, is being decorated by this repeat function, which has been imported from schedule import repeat. So sometimes you go from such simple dedicated packages that focus on their API to perhaps less simple packages which are dedicated to reliability. This is the kind of thing where it's more than a scheduler. It's a job and keyword. It queues up a job into a task queue and make sure it gets executed, even if there's a server restart, that kind of thing, which normal schedulers don't usually do. So data pipelines, job queues are much more robust and resilient. So Huey is patterned after Celery. So Huey's worth learning because you're learning something, which is a really great resume keyword or whatever. Celery is used everywhere in the Python world, shy of much more even industrial systems, because it goes higher end even than this with things like Apache's Airflow package. So Huey is really replacing things like Apache Airflow. So if you were to just Google data pipeline, you learn about a lot of what this stuff is that I'm talking about. The other thing is a task queue. So data pipelines and task queues are kind of replacements for simple schedulers. And so it has an API as well, and its API uses decorators as well. But instead of those wonderfully natural language decorators, you can see in order to get a nightly backup here, you got to call the periodic task method of the Huey package. And then you need to feed it Crontab as a parameter with its own language in here. Minute equals something, hour equals something, with a little bit of ambiguity about what that really means, right? If you didn't know it was a nightly backup, you wouldn't necessarily know hour 3 from every 3 hours, right? How do you know that from every 3 hours? Well, they give another example, which is every 3 minutes, which has this asterisk in front of it. So I guess you can kind of know an every such and such. So minute is every 3 minute, right? And So you see, schedule allows per line standalone scheduling instructions with a well-designed API language, plus the convenience of Python decorators, where those same for human language conventions carry over. However, Huey only allows the decorators, which in and of itself is not a bad thing, but the API follows the long-standing Unix conventions of the cron program. That's what you're seeing there, right? When you see Crontab up there, it's a reference to a program in the Unix/Linux world called cron, where you edit something called a cron table with one of the most historically awful APIs in all computerdom. And I'm not really thrilled about having to venture into the cron world, but I think this is a little better than the actual cron program user interface, where these 5 magic positions you have to get right with zeros and task names and stuff. It's just awful. So anyway, in this video, we're actually going to be switching over a container. So I'll fire this up. And I'll do an LX, which is my shortcut for my containers that are running. Same thing as LXC, LS fast. That would do the same thing. And let's see. Yeah. We're just going to make it happen. I gave you a lot of exposition. It took a little bit of time, but we can go into Munchkin now. Munchkin is stopped. I think if I do another LX, if it was my last one running. Yeah, it was my last one running. Isn't that funny? I do 2 LXs, or I do 2, LXC lists in a row. And the second time it's running, whereas the first time it wasn't. So that's a nuance of the LXD container system I'm getting down. It might be an effect of the Windows subsystem for Linux. I'm getting these nuances down. But now we can get into it with LXC, exec for execute against Munchkin with the command switch user, login, Ubuntu. Now watch my prompt here. I'm now inside that container. And I might have started that service already, so I can tell if the service is running by seeing the list of screen services running. And yes, indeed, it is running. And we could look at that. I can go screen, reattach, scheduler. Sent me an email, and it started the running this .py file as a Linux service. As you can see, we can actually log into it and monitor it with the screen program. So running things, invisible running things in the background are visible to us. And I'll Control AD to get out of that and remind you what that program looks like. CD from home, GitHub, scheduler, and I'll vim scheduler.py. And this is the program that does it. It's pretty straightforward and small and simple. And we're going to be changing this to Huey. So you can see where I used to import schedule directly, but now from schedule I import every, repeat, run pending, and cancel job. So I can use a much simpler language down here in the decorators, you see. That would have to be schedule.repeat. The run once one would have to be schedule.cancel job. So, you simplify the API on the import. Even on an already for humans API, you can make it even easier by designing your import statements so you don't need such long dot paths throughout your code. Okay. So we're going to be changing this line to a Huey import. And it shouldn't really be that hard. It should keep things much the same way. And it's just a schedule program that runs now using pip install schedule. The scheduler program will now run using Huey. All right, so you see what I'm going to be doing, and now we actually do it. So I left some notes for myself, so the copy pasting would be easy. You can go to mikelev.in and go to my blog, and you'll see somewhere around here, turning Python Huey data pipeline into schedule alternative. And you can see that I did that over the weekend, planning to do this as weekend work. Never really got around to it. But here are the two files, right? So the Huey example that I have running on a different container has this code here and this code here, and we are actually inside the container now, and it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to get two containers logged into at the same time. I guess it's possible. Let's give it a try so I can show you this there. I'm going to turn off the service so it doesn't keep emailing me. It only emails me once each time the scheduler is run, so it's no big deal. But you can see that Munchkin is running, but Huey, where the old code is, so with containers, an important point here is that I can do work sometimes on Huey, sometimes on Munchkin, sometimes on Quadling, and I just outright delete these containers and bring them back. There's no real harm in treating containers as these throwaway things. You don't put anything on them that you would be worried about losing, and you accomplish that by using GitHub repos and shared network drives, that kind of thing. So LXC, let's do a ls -- list. Or no, it's not -- list, it's -- fast. And that shows you what's running. That's the before. And now I'm going to do an LXC start Huey. And then we'll list them again, and both of them are running. And now I can log in, LXC, EXEC, Huey, switch user, login, user Ubuntu. Okay, so you can see my cursor here is in Huey. So I'm logged into Huey on this desktop 5, that's my Huey terminal. And here on desktop 4, that is my Munchkin terminal. Now I logged into Huey so I could show you the equivalent of what's going on over there. Well, first I'll see if the service is running. Oh, I didn't do it through, I did do it through screen. So screen ls. I did all the work to prepare Huey and screen to work pretty much the same way conceptually, but for the import and the scheduling language, right? So I can screen reattach to Huey. And now you can see its a version of the much messier, uglier to look at, but I'll figure this out. I'll figure out this log language. This is a very classic timestamp from maybe the standard Python logging package, which is a logical way to do this. I should probably be doing official logging instead of with open writing to a file as sort of an improvised log file. So Control A-D for detaching from that, CD ~/GitHub. An important point you should always remember is that I always have home/GitHub everywhere, be it a container like this, a container like this, or the parent Linux thing from which it's running. See, I default myself into that. It's so commonly used for me. And then all the repo names are in there. So CD, I called this one demo, right? The concept of demo goes away as a scheduler. There's really no reason for that. So vim demo, right? So this is the code. I was going to copy and paste it just off my home page, right? I put these things on my website for better long-term documentation, easier copying and pasting without having to go into the containers. But we have the containers loaded here. So you can see let's start the process. Vim scheduler. I'm going to look in this directory, see I have a just the scheduler.py. Now we do have Git running here now, so it's always good to git status, and my branch is up to date with origin main, which is on GitHub, so nothing to commit. So I'm going to do cp for copy scheduler.py to oh no, in fact I'm going to do a git move scheduler.py. Now some of these commands that exist on their own, like move, I could do this without the git command before it, but a lot of these short Linux commands like copy and move also exist under git, so that you don't have to git commit all the changes. It just knows that you moved a file. So I'm going to move scheduler.py to scheduler-schedule.py. That's going to show me that this is the one that was made with schedule. And now if I do a git status, it will know that I've renamed it. I don't have to git commit to tell it that stuff, right? It's a little bonus of this video. But now I'm going to do just a cp. I could do a git copy, but git is not, well, let's try that, see if that works. Git cp scheduler-schedule.py to just schedule. The correct one, the normal one now is going to be, it didn't like copy, so I can just do a normal copy. Right? It doesn't make a lot of sense to have copy built into Git the way it does move. Move is keeping track of a node inside the database that already exists. This creates a new one. So now a git status is going to show that a new file was added. Git add schedule.py. And now I can freely alter schedule.py without interfering with the original file, which is sitting back there as scheduler -schedule, right? This one is really like -Huey, but it's going to be my main one, so I don't want a long hyphenated name. Vim schedule.py, and we're inside the file, and I simply remove that import just like I removed it before, like that. I remove it there like that, and we're going to bring in Huey. Huey periodic, I'm always going to be using Huey periodic, so I'm going to do from Huey import periodic task, right? From Huey import periodic task. And I'll do my pretty little waterfall approach to the imports. And I will in fact put out of it for a second, because I need to make sure Huey is actually there. How do we check that Huey's there? Well, it would seem at first that I should just be able to launch Python. Python not found, which reminds me of the issue. Let's try Python 3. There, that it's found. Import Huey. Not found, right? So it seems to answer the question, it's not installed. Well, not so fast. We're going to exit out of Python, the interpreter, the interactive interpreter that's built in, right? So first of all, you can see it's 3.69. I've installed Python 3.10 on everything. The fact 3.69 got on this machine at all means that was a dependency of something else that I installed, yeah? Because these containers created by the Ubuntu LXD image server are extremely stripped down. They don't have Python, they don't have Git, they don't have any of that stuff. So I've installed it. I installed Python 10, I installed virtualenv. So what we really want to do when we do a fresh pip install in a situation like this is activate the virtual environment that I put there. Source, it's always, if you follow my convention, it's always relative to your home. Py 310 bin activate, which for people who don't do this a lot, this is actually just a bash shell script trick saying execute everything that you find in here and exit out, leaving all the side effects that happened from inside of that file in the shell I was in the Unix terminal, Linux terminal I was in when I called source. So the source of the environment, variables, and paths, and all the stuff that goes into a terminal session get replaced by what was in here. And you can see I am now in my Python 3.10 virtual env, and all my dependencies are isolated into this environment. It's another good time to do the test. First we type just Python. You can see it does come up with just Python. And also it's Python 3.10.5 as opposed to 3.6.9. That's exactly where we want to be. I can try to import Huey. Again, no module named Huey. It's unsuccessful. So we exit out. And while we're in the virtual environment, it's perfectly safe to pip install. It's going to go where we want it. Pip install Huey. All right, so it is now installed, and when we do edit that file, vimschedule.py, that import will now actually succeed. And now our language has changed. It's just that our language has changed. So to switch from schedule to Huey, seconds from now is fine. Repeat every 60 seconds. Okay, so an important step of this video is to compensate for the fact that when we look at the Huey page, right? So initially, this is just the Huey page from PyPy.org, project/Huey. This is its main default page. We scroll down here and we look at the examples. It's not a very long page. See that? It's not a very long page. And when you look for examples of scheduling, all it does is show you some very rudimentary examples. There's even another way here that doesn't go through periodic scheduling, but that's when you're adding things to an already running task queue. We'll cover that later. But before you've actually started running Huey, before the consumer is running, and it's running as a service in the background that you can talk to through the interactive interpreter, see that? Triple greater than, so that means that's actually being executed from a separate Python instance talking to something running on the network. But we'll get to that. For right now, you can see I searched for the documentation. I clicked on that. I brought up this page thinking there must be much more documented here. So here's the top of the document. Here's the contents of the documentation on the Read the Docs site. So we're now on Read the Docs as opposed to PyPy, right? So when we follow the documentation link, we're on a different but very popular site for hosting documentation. I click on scheduling tasks, and the whole section on scheduling tasks is that long. Look at that. It gets down to retrying there. And what does it tell you? Acceptable inputs. Not bad, not bad. The Crontab function accepts the following arguments. But really, can someone follow these instructions? This is like the opposite of a for humans API. Oh, so they must have more examples, right? No. Look at that. The examples are pretty inadequate. The documentation is pretty inadequate. Implying that you infer. Runs every 10 minutes between 9 a.m. and 11. Okay, it's giving some things. Every 10 minutes. This hyphenated thing, hour equals, so range, comma, range between 9 a.m. and 11, and 4 and 6. Okay, so two different ranges, multiple ranges between this time, and also every 10 minutes. There's a lot of ambiguity in there. Every 10 minutes between 9 a.m. and 11. So when it reaches 9 a.m., okay. So they give some interesting examples, but if you're still left feeling high and dry and you want to know more, one thing you can always do is go to GitHub for that. So it's Huey GitHub. I didn't bring this tab up ahead of time because I wanted to show you the process, right? So you find Huey on GitHub. And then you drill down on its main directory, Huey/Huey. That's a very typical path for things that are pip installable. You look for a directory of the same name as the package, right? You should feel good when you see something / that same something, because that means these folks are PyPy aware. They can put stuff in, they can make stuff pip installable. You see the init py in there. That's the first thing that runs when this is imported, but it's a whole bunch of other imports, right? Which is a good way of doing it. But look, one of the things it's importing is Crontab. Where's that coming from? There, no, bin, tests, no, Huey consumer. Is it a separately installed thing? No. It's from Huey. It's from Huey. Losing my place. But init py is doing from Huey.api import Crontab. So it's Huey.api. That's where we need to look. Here's the API. And that means somewhere in here there's going to be a Crontab class or definition. Just search Crontab. There it is. It's a function rather than a class, which in itself is interesting. Let me make that a little larger. We have this same documentation that we saw over there, but now we have the actual code that makes it work. So if you ever have any misunderstanding of how something works, you can go to the horse's mouth, such as it were. And between the documentation it provides and looking here, we have a lot more ability to understand to understand the language that we're using. So this is Munchkin, and this is Huey. So in Munchkin, we're going to replace that repeat every 10 seconds, every 60 seconds, with Huey's definition. It's going to be periodic task with the at in front of it to make it a decorator, with the open parenthesis, with the cron tab, and another open parenthesis. Oh, look at that. This is the signature of the function. So you know what you can actually do? It's nuts, but I can actually replace this whole thing in here with the default. You don't see this done often, but I just put all the default values for Crontab in there. Minute, hour, day, month, day of week. Okay, so what else comes after that definition? After the Crontab piece, we go to the examples again. Nothing, that just does it. Is that true? Yeah, you close the parenthesis after the Crontab definition, and the scheduling is defined. So it's going to be asterisk every 1 minute, every 60 seconds is minute equals */1. So after all that work to put all that in there, that's just kind of to show you it's possible. The extra parenthesis that needs to be there, */1. That's every 1 minute. And that should be the same as that. I've switched from the pip install schedule language to the pip install Huey language, right? So that's the pulse. So I'm going to make it easier to recognize, because right now it's just the date that's being written out, but it's a lot easier to write out really big. Every minute from Huey. All right, so we know what to look for when it's running as a task, as a scheduled task. Now where we where we send the email, I have it only once per day using this date time string formatting language to do hours, minutes, seconds. So I want to schedule it at a very particular time, 5 seconds from when the task scheduler starts. I don't see why I shouldn't be able to do that with Huey. It means that it is going to be run a single time. We're going to schedule it a single time. But then the return cancel job. Instead of running it a single time, 5 seconds after it starts, I will just run it 5 seconds after it starts every day. But I mean, it's the time it started, but that same time every subsequent day. I believe that's how it is. So exact time scheduling at an exact time, is that a Huey thing? Every day at. So that's an every day at, right? So it's similar to this. So this is where it gets tricky, right? So we can look at these things that we've pulled up so that we can actually know what the heck the language of this API is. Day, range. Minute, month, day, day of week, hour. So we have to figure out, yuck. I don't want to turn this into a complicated video. This API is not for humans, so I'm going to replace it with a simple scheduling directive. But what should it be? How do I start it right away? How do I schedule it so I'll actually see it run? So I'm looking at this API. Every distinct value is clear enough. So that /n, so n is a distinct value, so every n times, so every 4 hours. And it starts at, it starts at midnight yeah. So m to n, I guess they have to introduce, so it's the same unit every time between something and something. That is so confusing. I do not like this at all. But you know what? The difficulty is only in testing that the scheduling is actually working. It's not in having the schedule set up. If I were to just abide by what this system makes it easy to schedule, then it would be no problem. It's Celery whose API this is simulating, and so it's upon Celery that we will do our next search. This is very much under periodic scheduling. The concept here is the periodic scheduler. periodic underscore task. There's the definition of periodic underscore task, which is a subfunction of Huey, the main Huey object. That's very interesting. Now I'm going to just search on exact. The word exact is not coming up, but the concepts here are exact versus periodic. There's different types of scheduling out there. There's periodic scheduling, and then there's exact scheduling. These are two different concepts, two different scheduling models. And I'm kind of trying to simulate exact scheduling under periodic scheduling. When I try and do this, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So we're going to bring up a new tab, and we're going to go Huey exact scheduling. Oh, I did Huey exact. I meant to do Celery. Demo schedule, yeah. So that's few and far between. Huey is just vastly less popular than Celery. Celery schedule 1 minute from now. Only a number of times. Cron tabs in Celery. Celery.schedules, another way to do it. More than one reference to Celery.schedules. But I'll check out this Stack Overflow entry. Ugh, no good answers, no good answers. So we're going to use periodic scheduling. The question becomes how to test that your scheduler is running when all you have is periodic scheduling, and you want a scheduled event to happen moments after you start the scheduler. All right, that's the question. And I think we're going to be using a Python notebook to answer this, quite frankly. Now you see why I keep these Python notebooks just running all the time. Because it's kind of a calculator. It's kind of a calculator. This is a tough question to answer. It's not an easy one, right? Because now you see all my hesitancy. You know, I know how to do all this stuff in the old schedule module because, you know, repeat. Oh, this is every day at an exact time. See, that's every day at an exact time. And I wrote this seconds from now function. Okay, so let's take a look at my seconds from now function. It looks like fun. Function F3, F4 to turn off. That's keyboard shortcuts I made. That's relative number and number being turned off. We paste this in here, and I know that's going to have a dependency on date time, of course. And it's from date time, import date time, so that I don't have all these datetimes all over the place. So now I can do seconds from now, 5, and actually see what kind of value is coming back. I also need date, and I also need time delta. All right, so this is 5 seconds from now. All right, if I were to do that again, you can see this is microseconds, this is seconds, that's 21, that's the one that's really going to change. So I could print now and 5 seconds from now, just so that you can see the difference. Print now, that would be datetime.now. And then print this. Now it might actually change the way it looks because it's doing a string conversion for the print statement. But you can see now and 5 seconds from now, right? So this is when I'm trying to schedule things for, right? That's how I've been testing things happening on a scheduled basis on the schedule module. But now I'm trying to test it on Huey. So this is hours, minutes, seconds. So I can schedule something at that hours, minutes, and seconds, right? So I should have that language. Dink, 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 dink. This is an API that consists of periodic task, self-validate, take retries. Periodic task, I'm in the right place, but I had that wonderful long signature of oh yeah, that was on Crontab. This wonderful long signature here, right? So we're going to be using something having to do with this to achieve scheduling 5 seconds from now. So I'll turn that into a markdown so that we can just have that sitting there. Escape B for adding a cell below. And now to schedule at one of these times, right? That's an hour, that's a minute, that's a second. We know when to schedule it, right? So this is really interesting. Seconds from now, right? Okay, so hour. So the fact that that even works tells me a wonderful thing. We can go, a time in 5 seconds, in 5 secs, in 5 secs equals seconds from now 5, right? Python is just this wonderful descriptive language. So now we have hour, minute, second, right? Okay, so that is a tuple for a schedule time, 15th hour, 17th minute, 44 second. And to turn that into a tuple that I can kind of just slide into place here is minute, hour, day, right? Minute, hour, day, every day. But it defaults to asterisk. So see how nice the signature is. So all we have to really define is hour and minute, because day and month and day of week, those are all asterisks. So to get that same 5 seconds from now behavior, I just need the hour and minute and seconds. Okay, I don't need anything else. And if we see those locations, I might grab them by location. Let's see what happens if we just try that. That would be a year. So hours 0, 1, 2, 3. From 3 to 5. In secs, let's try getting a slice from 3 to 5. Nah, it's not subscriptable. So let's try turning that into a tuple. Doesn't like that. So we'll just do it the explicit way. Now see how the signature is minutes, hours, days. Oh, it doesn't even support seconds. Okay, so that's fine. We can't use seconds. A minute. I can't do 5 seconds from now. It doesn't get down to that level of resolution on scheduling. That's a little disappointing. So I can't necessarily use 5 seconds from now. I am going to have to make that 1 minute from now. You know what? 5 seconds from now will be 60 seconds, and that will put it squarely in the next minute. And you can see that's our hours, minutes, and seconds right there. And that's when we can schedule it. We take seconds out. So it's going to be Crontab equals what is it going to be? It's not going to be every, it's going to be at. So when you remove the asterisk, it's kind of like removing the periodicness of it. Except for the day periodic. You can remove, you're switching from periodic to exact on minute and hour, but not on day and month. Okay, I can live with that. So we need a little bit of code that we just bring over to the other side, right? So we don't need this stuff anymore. And okay, I'm not going to bother with tuples. I'm going to do an hour equals and a minute equals. I'll combine these two together. And now I will have a language, a way to do the scheduling. Here. All that thought work just for this. Welcome to where I live. Sorry about the honking from the outside, but that's just the general vibe. And not just the particular residence in which I live. That's the vibe of the island. Idiots. hours equal, double check the signature, hour equals day equals, hour equals, and minute equals. An hour, a minute. That should do it. That should do it. I should have successfully switched over. Now we don't need this at the bottom. We look over here how that's done. We have to import Crontab. Oh, we have to do these two imports. From Huey import SQL, Light Huey, and Crontab. All right. Now the file has only really changed. Only the py file has changed. So I should be able to change something that prints at the top. The pulse service has started using Huey. All right. So now I should be able to quit out of this file. I won't quit out of this file. We'll open yet another terminal to it. lxc exec munchkin switch user login Ubuntu screen ls screen reattach scheduler scheduler. I'll do Control A escape and then Control B to go back up to the top. The pulse service has started. You can see that right here. That's the old service. I'm going to Control C out of it. I'll try to get right back into the scheduler. You see, there is no screen to be resumed matching scheduler. I do it again. Oh, still none. That's disturbing. That means I got something wrong. So I'm going to stop the service from trying to restart, right? Because I have something wrong. That is systemd, that's sudo systemctl stop scheduler. All right. So now it's not trying to restart all the time, and I can cd into home/github/scheduler. Now you'll remember all the pip installs I did were under a particular virtual env. I cannot very well just type Python scheduler.py. There's just so much wrong with that. First, this will not be found. Second, even if it is found, it will not have the path to the correct pip install packages. So I could activate the virtual env. That is one option, but that's not how the service runs, right? If you took a look at the scheduler service, which I happen to have sitting in that directory, that's not where it's loaded from. That's just so I can distribute it over GitHub better. But if you took a look in that, you would see I'm just using long exact paths. No virtual envs being activated. So I can just copy this. I can use the same exact long path as is used in the service, and I can execute that from here, and we'll see what's wrong. No such file or directory, right? So can't open. Oh, scheduler.py. Did I get the name wrong in that location? That's this file here. Schedule.py, of course. I don't want it to be schedule.py. Git status, modify git move. All right, so I change git status. Right, so it's just modified, new files. Okay. All right, so let's try running it with the absolute path now. All right, one more error. From Huey, import periodic task SQLite Huey Crontab. Cannot import periodic task from Huey. Then scheduler.py. Let's see if that same error exists if I take that out. Periodic task is not defined, but it was able to do the import. So periodic task is coming from somewhere a little bit different, which we can in fact see on the init.py of the Huey package. Right, so it looks like it's being pulled in the same ways, because here's a from Huey API import. Did I just get the periodic? Okay, so periodic is remember when I saw that as a sub definition, as a sub thing there? Oh, what was that? What was that? That was inside API.py. Oh, well, that answers the question. Inside API.py is class Huey. Inside class Huey is the periodic task. So periodic task is from class Huey. So it's going to be one of these Huey.Hueys from Huey. And it's an uppercase H there. I'm going to try it. Again, remember we keep this over here for such reasons. So import Huey. I'm going to see if I have it. I don't, so I can just pip install Huey, which you can do in Jupyter with just pip on a line by itself. It has to be actually programmed in order to support that. That's a thing that the Jupyter people did because it's very non-standard feeling. So now we can import Huey, and now I can dir Huey. And I see no periodics, but there is a Huey in there, so I can go Huey.Huey.p in 2 tabs. There's my periodic task. Okay, so this is where it's located. So it's from Huey.Huey import periodic tasks. I'm going to need 2 import statements to have my nice abbreviated from Huey.Huey import periodic task. And that should pretty much do it. And I will maintain my waterfall-y looking imports because I like it that way. All right, now we'll try this one more time. Yeah, no module named Huey.Huey. Go back to Jupyter. I do reset kernel, clear all outputs, and now I can try that same thing. From Huey.Huey import periodic task. No module named Huey.Huey. So I thought this was going to be possible. From Huey, import Huey.periodic task as periodic task. You can't do that, huh? Let's see what the internet has to say. Didn't I see an example? Didn't I pick up an example where they did that? Wasn't that my main example over here? No, they're just... Oh, I will also need to define my SQL Huey database. That I have failed to do. This is where the task queue is kept, and I'll keep it in the temp directory. That's fine. I forgot a very important step. That is still not what's causing it to not run, but I will do the simple solution. Now, the fact that I could do this, the fact that this works, Huey equals, oh, see that? Huey equals. I don't even think I have to import periodic task. Look at that. Look at that. I am importing the only SQLite Huey and Crontab. And then I'm creating an instance of an object. And then I'm able to use these decorators without the import. Holy smokes. So I don't even need periodic task in there? I would not have thought that was the case. That's going to run. One more thing. Oh, periodic task is not defined. So at Huey.periodic. So I have to leave the Huey dot in there. I have to leave the Huey dot in here. There's no periodic tasks without a Huey dot. Try that. Run pending is not defined. Okay, just one more thing from Huey. Run underscore pending. Now it's almost as long as the schedule line. Oh, run pending from import. Cannot import name run pending from Huey. How did I do that? Over here. Oh, did I not do it? Do you not need the run pending? Oh yeah, run pending was just from the schedule. That was not there at all. We don't need the while statement. That should do it. Except the consumer is going to have to be... Oh, no, okay, right. You don't run these things directly. You import them into the... you import them into the Huey consumer. You don't use the Python executable. You use the magically made available Huey consumer.py space scheduler. Huey consumer.py not found. I am on Munchkin, but that's a path, that's path magic. So I am going to exit and go back into it and then do that command exactly again. Huey consumer not found still. Okay, that's now because of virtual env stuff. So I'm going to have to give the exact path to Huey consumer, which is something I actually had to do once before. So I do remember where that is. I actually remember where that is. That is in the virtual env. So it's tilde / pi 310 user bin slash Huey. Okay, cd tilde / pi 310 ls bin. It's not user bin, it's just bin. I'll go back to that upper level just so that I don't have path ambiguity. There, okay, all right, something different. Oh, no module named. Okay, so we have to be CD'd. I remember this now about reading about this stuff. So we actually need it to be able to find the schedule. Oh, and then I have to put Huey at the end of that. Oh, and then it doesn't need the full path. But we still have to be in that location. Boom. All right. All right. So here's how we start the service. This is not easy switching over from a for humans API to a not for humans API for DevOps people, sysadmins, for DevOps and sysadmins API. Still better to be on Celery than to be on Airflow or something like it. So I should wait that minute and see if it emails me cats. Oh, look at this. Every 1 minute from Huey, that's our pulse. Now the other thing that was scheduled a minute from when it begins is to see if it's successful. We just sit here to see if that email gets sent in about a minute from when I successfully, let's see if it's just the pulse or whether it's the email getting sent. Sending email. I'm going to check my email on another system here so I don't know. Okay, email sent. It actually worked. And this is mission accomplished, except for the fact that we are now going to put this properly into the schedule service, right? So that Huey consumer is the way that this stuff gets run. Now, thankfully, we have, see how I had a CD into here? If I were to CD anywhere else, see, this is going to run. I'll Control C out of that. But if I CD'd up one directory and tried that same thing, it would not work. See, attribute error, module scheduler has no attribute Huey. Now, thankfully, when we go into where we edit our actual service file, which happens to be, I'm going to first copy the command to my command line. I'll have to do a full path. Tildes don't belong in .service files, but we can now CD into the magic location, etc systemd system. And we can look in there, but we know we're going to be vimming, we're going to be sudo vim scheduler.service. And we're going to be replacing this line. But this line, whoops, that I just deleted by accident. This line is a very saving grace kind of thing because that functionally CDs us in where we need to go so that the Huey command works. Here's the Huey command. And that is going to be execstart, execute start equals the full path, which is /home/Ubuntu. And that's where the Huey consumer is located. And then we just leave that like that. We delete this file out. And I don't have to make a backup of it because I have backups other places. And now because I did that with a .service file, I have to do sudo systemctl daemon reload. And now I can do sudo systemctl start scheduler. That's taking a long time. Not what I expected at all. Control-C. Systemctl status scheduler. Oh, scheduler. Oh, I might have needed a restart, not just a start. Might have had problems with the start for some reason. Q. So let's try systemctl restart scheduler. Really? Control-C, clear, screen ls, see if it's there. It's not there, so it's probably stuck in that activating mode, which we can just do systemctl to look at things running like this. We can scan down, we can use the J key to scroll down. There's scheduler.service, and see it's stuck in activating. When it gets stuck in activating like that, at least it's not coming back from hitting enter. That's nice. So it's not active, it's activating. So there is still something it doesn't like about that service file. So we'll quit out of that and we'll stop it from trying to start. That's stuck in a busy thing, so we'll stop scheduler. And I'm going to actually try a start after I stop it. If it doesn't come back right away, the problem's still there, so then I'll do a stop again. And now we can confirm that we stopped it by just doing systemctl on its own, and it's not even going to be listed there. Stopped services don't show in here. All right, so. Under what conditions did it work? We had to be CD'd into a certain location. I wonder if we can give a full path to that .Huey extension, because I'm banking on this line actually CDing into that location so that this can be found. Right? So I'll try doing a full path to this and see if that works. It would be, first we test it like that. Yep, no module named scheduler, but if we were to cd into ~/GitHub scheduler and do it from there, you can see it does work. Control-C out of that, clear, bring it back. I'm going to cd to a directory above it. Of course, that will break the command again, but now I'm going to see whether I can use a full path on this. I doubt it, because they're changing APIs, right? They're stepping in and they're saying the thing that lives there is a .py file imported into the consumer.py, which happens to be in the path magically somehow, to import the thing in that location you're sitting in that has a py extension, but we refer to it with a .huey extension. It's really rather screwy. I'm sure that Huey didn't invent this screwy API. It seems like it's borrowed from Celery. Ugh. I'm stuck in insert. Oh, I thought I was stuck in insert mode. I was on the command line. Silly me. I just got to get rid of that bad command. Bring back one of the previous ones that were there. Okay. Now I give a full path here. That is home Ubuntu. And then I give a full path here, which is home Ubuntu GitHub scheduler, and it doesn't like it. See, no module named. Home Ubuntu GitHub scheduler /scheduler. Now I know I have that right. So there's a pretty good chance we need to change the directory in the service before it's run. Now, maybe that is something on, oh yeah. I'm running it through screen. I am not just running it directly from the service. So cd/etc/systemd/system ls sudo vim scheduler.service, and see, I'm starting it directly, and I should have been, but the fact I'm starting it directly, of course there's not going to be a screen thing. I'm not putting it through screen anymore. We will put it through screen in a moment, but exec start with the current directory should work. See, that CDs it into that correct location. But maybe we know we can do multiple commands here, so changing directory on an exec start, that's what I need to understand. Can we do that? Now, they are saying that what I thought, that working directory sets your home directory, right? The systemd working directory equals defines on which directory the service will be launched, same as when you use cd, right? So that should actually do it. So we need to think through why perhaps that is not doing it, right? So let me try CDing to there. I think I typed it right, but we can always test it by just on the same container, clear CD to root, and now CD space that. So there you are. That's bringing me into the correct location. And then the this command here should run from here, and it does. See that? Forking is the reason I'm not using screen, so this needs to be simple mode. Forking probably changed that whole directory thing. That means I need to reload the daemons. Which means I might be able to start the service. All right, it came back really nice, and I should be able to check the status on the service. I'll just do systemctl, so I can find it on here. It's usually not very far down when it's running. I do a slash. Not found. Okay, but that's how it, there it is, scheduler.service. Look at that. Active and running. Okay, so it should send me an email. I'm going to check if an email just arrived. 341 was my last one, so there's the minute delay, and we can't see the output from the service, so I'm not even going to wait. I know it's working. We're going to switch over to screen now. Control C to get out of here. Clear. Well, no, I'll keep that showing for a moment. We are going to go over to this other container. Now I should probably rearrange these things because that's a different container. These two on screen 4 and 5 are the same container. These are both Munchkin. See? Munchkin, Munchkin. And then this one over here, this one over here is actually Huey. But I can now look at how Huey is set up. I can cd into its etc, not etc systemd system ls vim service. This is vim huey.service. And I can see the way I did the screen command here. And then it gets up to the Huey consumer directive. See, I made that mistake twice, forgetting that I'm not calling it directly from a Python executable. So now I can sudo vim scheduler.service, and now I can put in that so that it's funneled through screen, and it should still use the current directory here. Screen, I think, keeps the current directory of the parent. Quit, clear. We want to do that daemon reload, and then we want to do the start of the scheduler service, and then we want to look for the screens. We see that there's no screen there. That's not good. Still none. Still none. Oh, active and running. Look at that. But it's not showing any screens running. I very much put it through the screen program. So I need to double check if I really did. Vim, sudo vim, scheduler.service. Yeah, there it is. See, user bin screen. So I guess I get to lift this up. Exit out. Sudo systemctl stop scheduler. Clear. cd, well, we got them next to each other. We'll use the different directories. Quit. cd github scheduler. Oh, that's Huey there. That doesn't have a scheduler directory. And there's screen. Look, that command is working, right? So we can screen reattach to Huey. And that's what we're looking for from the service. Control-C out of that. By Control-C'ing out of it when it's not a service, that screen is not coming back. See that? That's a difference between running it from a command line and running it as a service. The service will keep it coming back, and then it came back, it came back, it came back, it came back. So now we double check here. There's no reason sudo vim scheduler.service. The only reason I can see for this not working correctly is that while this sets the current directory, this is now being funneled through the screen command, user bin screen, called Huey. So what I need to do is try it once more, and if it doesn't, oh yeah, simple, we turn that back to forking. Of course, that's the reason. It's the difference between the type equals simple and type equals forking. Now it's forking. Now it'll work. Screen needs forking. Sudo systemctl daemon restart reload. Daemon hyphen reload. Sudo system. Well, before I do this, I'll do a screen ls. That's the before no sockets found in screen. Sudo systemctl start scheduler. screen ls. There is the Huey task running as a service now. That's it, my friends. That's it, my friends. I delete some emails that were there from earlier tests, and then I just wait a minute to watch the email arrive here. But we can watch the email being sent because now we can screen reattach to Huey. There it is. See, the email is not sent yet. But we do have the pulse every minute from Huey, right? That is my pulse signal. Every minute I'm going to show that. I'll also probably clean this up a bit. I'm not sure everything that's going on here in terms of logging, but I'll get control of all this logging output so it's easy for me to connect into these screens and monitor what's going on. But there is what seems to be another Huey triggered thing, and there is sending email. And there is email sent. I do a refresh and I confirm it. I confirm it here on my end, but you know, you can take a look. That email has arrived. So this is finally mission accomplished for Huey. I couldn't schedule something 5 seconds from when the service starts, but I could schedule it on the next minute from when it started. And I have the same monitoring of the service now with the screen command. You know, you can resize your screens. I have this nice stuff here to show me that I am in the screen. And yeah, there you have it. I have, you know, successfully switched my scheduling system over from for humans, right? So let's summarize what is it. You know, there were stumbling blocks having to do with exact scheduling, exact period scheduling, exact scheduling versus periodic. But we got it to work. And nuances. When using screen, when using GNU screen, to make a service monitorable, directly monitorable, through a console. The systemd service must be changed from simple to forking. Okay, and then there's another one. And what was that? That current working directory, right? The working directory parameter. Service file value is very important for Huey. What are some other nuances we encountered here? I know there were some full paths. I won't describe everything. Those are the most important ones, and we can wrap the video up there because I think that pretty much encapsulates it. And is now everything I need it to be in order to do what I need it to do. So, for example, I can stop and start. So clear. in case you haven't gotten the idea yet, there are services running silently and visibly in the background. They are defined in this magical directory through these .service files. We have one in there called Huey.service. It's running silently in the background, but being exposed to us through the screen command, which is embedded into this file in the commands for this file. But the effect of it is that we can go screen ls and list all the screen terminals that are running. And then we can log into a screen terminal by going screen-r for reattach and give it the name. And then we can just watch services run. I know it's a lot of gobbledygook there, but you know, this task runs every 3 minutes. Yeah, I guess there was an every 3 minute task. I'm not even sure if that's true anymore. Where's that coming from? So the file that's being run is in a different location. Oh, I'm in the same location on both of these. So cd in my GitHub folder, in my scheduler folder. And the file that's being run is scheduler.py, vim scheduler.py. Every 3. Where's that coming from? That every 3 minutes thing should be in here. I didn't think I recognized it, which is why I came to look. I have this one that runs the pulse every minute. And I have this one that runs at a very specific time every day. I don't have it canceling the job, so that cat's email will actually be sent. Oh, yeah, that must be well, Pulse doesn't have an external file, but the cats does. Vim send cats. Nope. So where was that? Screen ls, screen reattach Huey. Oh, I think I was looking at the wrong thing. I was probably looking at the one over here on the Huey machine. Huey is a different container. This is the Linux host, which is Lunderwand. On Lunderwand, I got a bunch of containers, which you can see with lxc ls-fast as these 3 containers. I have Huey and Munchkin running. This one over here that I was accidentally in is Huey. Now that we have everything off of that we need, we can do lxc stop Huey. Now watch the cursor change from here, the cursor, the prompt change to Lunderwand, because it is not running anymore. Now only Munchkin is running, and running exactly as I imagined and expected and envisioned it to run. There you have it. Mission accomplished. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe.